Hey, what's up YouTube? Goratha here. Today's video is going to be a bit different than my normal videos. Today's video is a Last Epoch video. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to play this new Last Epoch season that happened recently, but I ended up playing it, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. The reason why I wasn't going to play it is because PvE2 is very soon. I want to start working on PvE2 content and PvE2 builds. But Last Epoch is a pretty fast game, so I felt like I had enough time to put a couple days in Last Epoch and check out the new stuff. They did a couple things. They reworked Beastmaster. They reworked Lich. I made a Beastmaster build that has been doing pretty well, and a lot of people have been asking me to make a build guide on it, or at least go over what I'm doing. So I figured I would go over what I'm doing. I normally don't do Last Epoch videos because I'm not the most experienced player. This build turned out pretty well though, so I figured I'd go over what I'm doing and kind of explain how it works and everything. So the main idea of this build is I'm using Scorpion. This little guy right here. Basically, he takes my Maelstrom, which is the ability right here. It's basically a cold dot BV type thing that stacks up and does more damage, more stacks you have. Now I give this to my Scorpion through the this node on the Scorpion tree, Frozen Winds. Whenever I cast Maelstrom, my Scorpion gets my Maelstrom tree. That's kind of effectively how it works. Now, there's a couple cool things about this. First off, my Scorpion does way more damage than I do. I'm scaling minion damage and like cold pen minion damage, like all this other stuff. I'm playing a Beastmaster, so I have like some minion damage from Beastmaster, and the tree has a lot of damage for beasts and stuff. They buff summons this league quite a bit, I think, or at least how they work how they work. We get a lot of damage basically for our beasts. So this guy does more damage to me. A couple interesting things here. When I have 6 or more stacks of Maelstrom, I get Frenzy. This is a attack speed, cast speed buff, and I get Haste, which is a boost speed buff. So my Scorpion's super fast. He runs around. They also changed how you can toggle aggressive and non-aggressive, so your pet can go defensive or offensive. If he goes aggressive, he kind of just runs around and kills everything. I have a mod on my gear that gives me a Communicate type ability whenever I use my leap attack. He'll follow me around, so I leap around and he'll basically jump on me. It's like some tele stomp ability, basically. That's pretty much one shot any rare. Boss damage has been pretty high. Clear speed's been pretty good. A couple interesting things about haste and Maelstrom though. So since I'm having perma haste, I'm running Advent of the Erase. This gives me a massive less damage taken over time buff. So I'm way tankier. That's one core part about the build. That's kind of the interaction here. Now I guess I should go over the trees real quick. Beneath the Waves is like an unleash ability. Every couple seconds you cast Maelstrom, you get a couple stacks. Otherwise, when you cast it, you're just getting 1 stack at a time, basically. So these points are pretty important. This just gives AoE. AoE is clear speed. AoE is good. Duration's really good. Obviously, you get more stacks, more damage. I did take an extra point into the mana efficiency. You don't have to do this. I just felt like it was more... It felt better to me anyways to do that. And then this travel point here. You can maybe go 60 attunement with like red rings and make use of this, but it's kind of like an okay damage node. Eye of the Storm is a lot more damage though. This is 100% more damage. You do lose some area though. So to solve that, I am using a area mod on my amulet, Evolution's End. Speaking of this amulet, you can find this amulet in the campaign. It comes from the new League mechanic. The League mechanic is actually quite generous to minion builds. This amulet's insane. It gives you everything you want, basically. Move speed, attributes, res, minion damage, all skills. All skills is really insane for Maelstrom, especially, because we need extra points here. And yeah, this works out pretty well. He has some pretty good AoE, despite having the less AoE from this Eye of the Storm, and does a lot of damage. These are travel points. This is my Maelstrom tree. It works out pretty well. The Scorpion itself, like I said, you want to go Frozen Winds. This gives the Maelstrom to your Scorpion. And then getting more cold damage, getting more area, converting your damage to cold. These odds are pretty straightforward. Reverberating Strike is actually not that useful early on, but I'll explain this in a second why I take this. This is pretty good for one reason, but I'll explain it in a second. Same with these Scorpions here. Still Carapace is a travel point to get to Blood Poisoning. Now, Blood Poisoning is Blade Chance, which doesn't really do anything for us, but we get 100% more damage over time with it. So this is like the big damage here. Now, Scorpion's actually very easy to get high gem levels because they added a couple really good like minion items. Like I said, like +2 here. You get like plus gems on your offhand, your relic. They had a really good early game relic. Let's see if I can find it real quick. It is very solid actually. I used it for a long time. If I can find it. Called Olmat's Incorrect History. This is a super common item. I found 2 of them in the campaign. This will help you early on if you find it. I'm not really gonna go over how I level the character. I did level with like wolves and some scuffed leveling tree. I'm not like the best player in Last Epoch when it comes to leveling. I usually just like play whatever I want, and it's not super efficient. I think most people level as a shaman, and they do like storm totems. I think is the meta leveling. I didn't really mess with that at all, so I don't really have any opinion on that. I did swap to Scorpion at around level 35 though, and it did pretty well for me. I had this tall mats and I had this amulet from the Lee mechanic, and yeah, I was kind of blasting from the beginning of the game. Anyways, this is the Scorpion tree. The main reason I have the Avalanche ability, Avalanche is a shaman ability. You get Avalanche at 25, so you can't actually spec it as a Beastmaster, which we are. Beastmaster is one of the sub-ascendancies. Yeah, so basically, past this chain, we can't interact with these trees at all, because we're not playing a Druid or Shaman. If you're playing a Beastmaster, you get like these nodes over here or whatever. But anyways, we can't second Avalanche, so we don't really get the tree. This gives the tree to the Scorpion. The main reason why I'm using this ability is because it stacks on my Bones of the Ancestral Pack. This is a really interesting item. It's why it has so much energy shield or ward. Basically, whenever my minions hit a monster, they'll give me a stack, or chance to give me a stack of Ancestral Pack. This gives me ward based on my endurance threshold, which isn't super high yet, but we can stack it more later. My character is still a work in progress. This should be really, really strong later on, though. I guess I can quickly go into like a thing here and show you guys how it works. It's way better on single target because the way Maelstrom works is it's not actually a hit. So I need my Scorpion to actually hit the monster with a melee attack. Hence why I'm taking Avalanche. This is the melee attack. It gives me the stack of the Ancestral, along with the baby Scorpions. So I'll get more procs with this pack ability. I'm not going to use my Maelstrom here, so I can show you guys how the ward buff works. Basically, whenever my minions attack, I get a bunch of ward. This works a lot better on single target, like I said, because we're using Maelstrom, and if the monsters die to Maelstrom, we don't actually get the ward buff. But this is very strong in hard content. Any content where we're actually not killing the monsters instantly, we're getting a huge ward buff. I guess I'd like show you guys how this build plays. So normally I just like run in the map, I leap around, I click Warcry. I'll go over that tree in a second, but it's a big burst of Maelstrom stacks basically, and a big damage buff. Now I leap around, I get the Convocate ability from leaping. Leap also gives a lot of damage. Keep my Maelstrom stacks up. I kind of just like run around and everything dies behind me. The Scorpion also has an active ability, which you can press like kind of like a one-shot attack. That ends up working pretty well as well. And yeah, this is like the general gameplay here. Occasionally press this, leap around, everything kind of dies around me. Character is super tanky. I'll go over my items and like why I'm so tanky and how the gear is working exactly. I'm still only level 90, so this character is gonna scale quite a bit more than I have already scaled it. So I'm pretty happy with how the build turned out, offensively and defensively. And it seems like the clear is like pretty solid, honestly. There's a quick echo demonstration. Now, I'll go over the Warcry tree and the Leaf Slime tree real quick. There's also another ability, Tempest Strike. This isn't super important, but I'll explain why I'm using it less. So the Leaf ability, this is how you like jump around. It gives us some Frenzy, which we already have, so it doesn't really do anything. But the main reason why I'm taking this is for the Cleanse, the Healing, and the flat global damage buff. So this damage buff is pretty important, because damage in Last Epoch is weird. It's very hard to get flat damage. Flat damage doesn't really come very often. Anytime you can get some flat damage, it's really massive for scaling. This is just an extra 15 flat scaling. It's also very nice with the Convocate. You kind of Telestomp. That's the main reason why I'm using it. There's a couple other things. You get like immune to damage while leaping. It's okay. Some leech, some area. I do have these storm bolts here. This is kind of whatever. The second half of the leaf slime trade doesn't really matter too much, I think. That's the main reason to use it though, so the Telestomping. I think it's really strong. You maybe could drop it for like a Terra's Blessing or something. This could be pretty good for buffing your pet a little bit with some minion boost speed and stuff. Didn't really think it was worth it. That is an option though. You can go to like the Druid tree and grab like Blossoming Gardens. That's something I haven't really messed around with. It might be pretty strong. I like the Leap Slam though. The Fairy Leap. Pretty good. The Warcry. The Warcry is actually a really big part about the build's damage. The main reason for that is Frostfall. Whenever I use my Warcry, I get 250% cold damage for my allies. Massive damage buff. It also gives a Whirlpool. Oh, I see something that happened. So I took off my offhand and it unspec'd a very important node. Let me change that. So yeah, this is actually one of the most important nodes here. When you cast Maelstrom, you cast Maelstrom when you cast Warcry, basically, and you get 1 stack per point into this. So whenever I cast Warcry, I should be getting 4 stacks. Right now I'm only getting 3. This is just another big damage boost as well for stacking your Maelstrom up, because more Maelstrom stacks is more damage, effectively. Warcry cleanses ailments. This is really good as well. There's a couple interesting points here. Frailty. I might stack more points than this for more duration. That's pretty good. Get healing here. I spec'd into the healing recently. It's like pretty good. Invulnerable after using Warcry. There's a lot of really good Warcry nodes. A really important one that you need to take early on though is Shell Up Breath. This makes the Warcry cooldown 5 seconds. This is really important because the base Warcry speed is, or cooldown's actually like 20 seconds or something. So it's a massive cooldown nerf here, or reduction here. I've been trying out Apprehend. I don't really notice it too much, honestly. But yeah, the main reason why we're collecting Warcry is the damage from Maelstrom and the Frostclaw, and then I mean, it's just really nice in general, honestly. Warcry is definitely something you want to have. Tempest Strike. This is something that I don't know if you really need to take. It at first glance doesn't really do that much. Tempest Strike is just my melee attack. Whenever I'm in melee range, I'm not spamming Maelstrom, like I don't want to run out of mana. Like I'm running out of mana, I don't have any mana left, I'll just spam Maelstrom. The main reason why I'm using this is for Aspect of the Viper. It comes from Viper Fangs node here. It gives my pet 20% more damage over time. And it procs on hit. So I need to be actually hitting a monster. It's pretty easy to keep this buff up with this ability in particular because we get a ton of attack speed. I'm basically removing all the special effects that Tempest Strike normally does, and in return I'm getting a lot of attack speed. Massive more attack speed here. Attack speed here. And I also get mana on hit. So this gives me a ton of mana back. It procs my Aspect of the Viper. And it also procs my Aspect of the Boar, which is another really important part of the build. So normally you only get it from the... Usually you only get it from like the traversal Boar Heart node. So whenever I use my my dodge, I get Aspect of the Boar. This gives us a ton of DR combined with Porcelain Constitution. Getting a ton of damage reduction whenever I have Aspect of the Boar up. If I don't want to dodge roll though, I can just use this also gives it on hit basically. So 20% hit, I get Aspect of the Boar. So I'm in melee range, not dodge rolling. I don't have to worry about my buff falling off basically, which is pretty nice because you can actually use dodge to dodge instead of, you know, stacking the buff up. That's the main reason I'm using it. And this build is pretty mana intensive. Like if you use all your abilities on cooldown, you're like spamming everything. You do run out of mana, so having Tempest Strike to get mana back is pretty good. Some people like to use Swipe and get like, I believe Primal Resonance. It makes the minion use the minion ability again, basically, every time you swipe. I wasn't a huge fan of that. That is an option though. You can do that over Tempest Strike if you want. I went with Tempest Strike. Seems like it's working pretty well for me. Like I said before, Atura's Blessing could be an option too later on. If you want to go into Druid, take a Blossoming Gardens and stuff. Could be pretty solid. This is how my build's currently set up though. That's the all the skills here. I can go over the past tree like one by one here and explain why I'm taking certain things. Early on, one travel point here to grab Wisdom of the Wild. It's just mini damage. Nothing too important. Harmless Tree is kind of bad, honestly. It's kind of mostly there to get 20 points to spec into Beastmaster. Some strength here. Nothing too important. Increased life is actually probably one of the best nodes here. Getting percent HP is pretty good. And then this Hunter's Restoration. Whatever you hit, so again, like hitting like here, will proc some damage buff for me, basically, with this. Not too important, but it is a little extra damage. I did actually take 25 points, and that's for Cornered Beast. I took this later on, though. This was like level 85 plus. I took this. It's basically when you get low HP, you take less damage. So combined with Endurance, you're actually quite tanky at low HP. Endurance basically gives you damage reduction when you hit your Endurance threshold, which, like I said before, we're going to be stacking it. I'll explain more about the gear in a second, but basically stacking Endurance threshold and Endurance is pretty good for this build. HP is good, really good for this build too. But yeah, damage reduction, pretty good. especially if you're playing hardcore like I am. The Beastmaster tree. So strength is really good because the way Scorpion scales is it scales off strength, dexterity, minion damage, cold minion damage, spell minion damage, like flat cold pen, minion cold pen, all that stuff. So dex and strength are basically increased damage. It's like 4% per point, I believe, increased damage. Strength also gives us armor though, and in my case, strength gives me int with cleaver solution. Overall, I'm using this in a second, but basically strength is equal to int. Very strong with that. So strength is very good, and anywhere you get strength, you probably should get it. I'm missing a lot of strength on my gear right now. This is like kind of a scuffed setup. This character should be a lot stronger once I start getting my gear set up properly. Yeah, anyways, strength's good. This is also less damage taken from nearby enemies. So you are incentivized very heavily to be in melee range and be attacking with your pet. If you run out of melee range, you're actually quite a bit squishier. One part is because Ursine's strength. That's a lot of DR. You want to be close to monsters. Aspect of the boar is really good. This gives endurance as well. Very strong. Then a couple... this point here is kind of whatever. This point is really important, actually. So companions are like the scorpion, for example. There's also other pets like wolves. There's like wolves. There's like bears. These are all companions, basically. Normally, you can only have one companion of the same type, but you can have more companions through other sources. Like, for example, Beastmaster gains +1 companion, but it won't let you use 2 scorpions. It'll only let you use like 1 scorpion and like 1 wolf or something. There's items in the game that can buff your total companion number. For example, like I have a really insane helmet that gives me... I can search for it real quick. There's items in the game that give you increased companion, like maximum companions, but you only will be able to use 1 scorpion ever. So I opted to take the node that gives me only 1 companion. Now, if you're playing like another minion, there is items that also allow you to have maximum, like some of the wolves up to maximum of companions, for example. So you can have like 10 wolves out or whatever, like 5 wolves. That's not, I don't think there's anything for Scorpion for that. So unfortunately, we're only limited to 1 Scorpion. And since we're mostly focused on the Scorpion, I've decided to take nodes like Artery's Loyalty, limiting me to 1 big minion, basically. There's another node down the tree that is the same thing, except it's a lot better. One of the main reasons to go Beastmaster. 75% more companion damage and companion HP. Huge node here. So these two combined make the minion quite a bit stronger. Past that, the chase is really good. This makes it so whenever your minion dies and resurrects, it can't die again for 4 seconds. To be honest with you, the Scorpion never really dies, but if it was dying permanently or something, like perma-dying, like if you res it and it dies again, this would be really good. The main reason I'm taking this is actually for the move speed and the attack speed and stuff. I suppose it is pretty good to get revive speed as well, but to be honest with you, my minion never really dies. I think it's died like 1 time ever to like a dot. Yeah, good notes here. I do have some, I think minion health regen on my offhand. So that might be one of the reasons why it's not dying. That combined with natural fortitude, he has quite a bit of regen. Again, strength's really good. I'm getting HP regen for strength, and it's applying to my pet as well. So getting a lot of recovery, scaling based on strength. The strength is giving us armor, recovery, damage. It's very strong overall. And yeah, not much to say about it. The main reason I'm using Cleaver Solution is because I'm stacking Ward with Bones of the Ancestral, and I'm getting some Ward whenever I gain Haste. So you see I gain Ward here. Every time I gain Haste, I'll gain some Ward. Combined with Ward Retention on some idols. Stacking these will be really good. And then Ent gives Ward Retention as well. The Ward Retention basically allows me to get higher ES numbers way easier. And then we have Bones of the Ancestral Pack, like I mentioned earlier, combined with all the minions hitting and giving us a bunch of ward back. Later on, stacking Endurance Threshold will give us more ward, and then stacking more Strength will give us more Int, which will give us more ward retention. That's kind of the loop I'm going for endgame. Need like 100 more Strength for it to be really good, and more ward retention idols, but kind of what I'm going for with the defensive scaling. Using this Erase Primalist Relic, these are Weaver's items. They get random stats. Like the red stats here are basically random stats that got added through the Weaver's Will mechanic. Not gonna really go over that, but that's kind of how it works. This applies Acid of the Spider when your minions hit. This gives more damage to slowed enemies, and they also can slow themselves. Another reason why I'm taking the baby scorpions. They have a chance to slow and give me some damage reduction. Damage reduction here. I'm going to be running armor mitigation applies to shots on gloves with reduced crit damage, ideally. I might end up using Brewmaster Belt, but right now I'm just using a rare with increased life. I'm going to eventually go for Ox Chest piece. I don't have it on right now, but let's see. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Mantle of the Pale Ox. This gives damage redirected from our minion, or from us to our minion. So it's basically DR if our minion's alive. Massive damage reduction boost. This with 2 or 3 LP and getting percent life and yeah, something like that will be really strong. Plus 2 strength minion skills also applies to the Scorpion. Not a huge deal though. Like I said, we don't even really need the amount of points you have already. So it's mostly for the damage redirect. This also gives percent health as well. So very strong defensive item. I probably will try to get like some damage on it so I don't lose too much damage. So like percent life and like minion soul damage, something like that would be pretty good if you get LP on it. The helmet will most likely be a snowblind. I actually have a really good snowblind. I'm gonna combine it with some reduced damage taken from crits, percent health, and strength, ideally. Lots of strength. You get some percent damage here, I believe, as well. Yeah, getting LP snowblind really good. This gives our cold skills blind, and we get more armor against blinded, and more armor against shield, which we're already doing. Very strong helmet. I'll probably end up using this as well. Like I said, Evolution's End. You should be getting this in the campaign. If you're doing the lead mechanic, you'll get one pretty fast, I believe. At least I got like 2 of them before I ended the campaign. Yeah, they're pretty good. I got a couple LP ones. This is the most important mod here is the minion area. This is very, very important for close speed. You can see how big my minions AoE is, even with the 40% reduction here. Very important mod. And yeah, it pretty much covers my entire build here. Ask together the board effect's really good for idols. If you manage to get your hands on these are pretty good as well. And not much to say. The tree is pretty straightforward. I guess I should say that you want to take these primal aspect nodes. I'll link the Maxwell planner and the video description. I'm not gonna go over every single point, but these basically do the same thing as the Ox Chest. Damage redirected to your minion at percent, more strength, some crit damage reduction, plus 1 minion. I'll probably drop 5 points into this if I manage to get crit damage reduction on my gear. Currently not able to do that though. Yeah, this is the French of the build right now. My last 10 points will probably go into honestly like maybe minion damage. There's Tritness plating here. There's like some minion damage somewhere around here. Shared damage here, Fury Leap. These are pretty good. Some damage here if you need more damage. There's a lot of good options here, like in damage threshold. I might put 4 points of this. There's some wiggle room here with the tree, depending on your gear and whatnot. Kind of what I'm going for though. Stacking armor, threshold, getting ward from the weapon. The most important things on weapon, I guess I should mention, if you have a 2 or 3 LP cleaver. Cold pen, and then flat cold damage for minions, and then there's also damage over time. So those are very strong mods. They all can roll on axes. Cleaver is really good. It gets +1 all skill though as well, which is really nice for the Maelstrom tree, like I mentioned. Plus skills are way better than minion skills because the Maelstrom's very important. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This character has been really fun to play. Looking forward to making some PvE2 builds, and yeah, I haven't really made a Last Epoch build before. I haven't had too much experience playing the game. This is my own creation. I usually kind of just do whatever, but this is how my build turned out this time, and people wanted me to make a build guide, so I figured I'd make a quick video describing exactly what I was doing and like why I was making certain decisions. Hope this can help you guys out. If you guys like more, if they like this content, I can make more Last Epoch videos, but I don't have as much experience as I do in PoE. Anyways, looking forward to some PoE 2 content coming up. I'm going to make a couple build guides for you guys. Have a couple build ideas in mind, and I'll be blasting some PoE 2 content over the next couple days as well. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.